Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Migration unfolds as a warm, funny, emotional animated adventure that follows a small family of birds who have spent their entire lives in the same peaceful pond, surrounded by the same trees, flying only in the same small circle of safety. Their days pass with quiet routine, predictable weather, and a lifestyle that feels safe but limited, especially for the younger members of the family, who dream about exploring the sky beyond the boundaries they have always known. The father, who is overly cautious, believes that danger hides in every unknown path, that storms, predators and distance can destroy even the strongest wings, and that staying home is the only true safety. But the rest of the family slowly begins to feel that they are missing out on a bigger world, on new places and new colors, and on experiences that could shape their lives in ways they have never imagined. This contrast between fear and curiosity becomes the emotional engine of the story. Their journey begins when the mother finally gathers enough courage to challenge the old routine and tells the family that they deserve to see more than the same pond every year. She wants her children to see the open sky, the mountains, the oceans, and the warm places where birds migrate every season. At first, the father panics at the idea, imagining storms, traps, hunters, and disasters that could happen if they leave their home. But eventually, through his love for his family, he agrees to take a chance, promising that no matter what happens, they will face everything together. This moment marks the true beginning of their adventure, a leap of faith into a world full of uncertainty, but also full of possibility. When they finally take off into the sky, everything feels new. The wind carries them higher than they have ever flown, the clouds float close enough to touch, and the ground below looks like a painting full of colors and shapes they have never seen. But the journey is far from easy. As they travel through forests and cities, over rivers and highways, they quickly realize that the world is much bigger and more chaotic than they expected. In one city, they are overwhelmed by the noise of traffic. Bright lights, tall buildings, and humans rushing in every direction. The young birds are amazed by the energy of the place, while the father becomes even more nervous. But in this chaotic city, they also meet new characters, some friendly, some funny, and some who end up teaching them unexpected lessons about courage and trust. At one point, the family falls into trouble when they cross paths with a villainous bird who rules over a dangerous territory. This antagonist tries to intimidate them, claiming the skies as his own and attempting to force them back the way they came. The conflict becomes a powerful moment for the story, pushing the father to step outside his fears to protect his children. Instead of running away, the family stands together, each using their strength, speed, creativity, teamwork, and determination to escape the danger. This moment becomes a turning point, not just in the journey, but also in the father's mindset. He begins to see that fear doesn't keep a family safe. Strength, unity, and belief in one another do. As the journey continues, the family faces storms that toss them in different directions, winds that seem strong enough to tear them apart, and nights where darkness hides every direction. But even in these difficult times, the family grows closer. The children start to understand the responsibility of traveling through the skies. The mother learns to trust her own instincts, and the father slowly finds the courage he never believed he had. Their conversations become deeper, filled with reflections about why leaving home was so important, what it means to grow, and how bravery is not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep moving despite it along the way. They meet an eccentric group of birds who once dreamed of migrating, but never found the courage to do it. These side characters bring humor and heart to the journey, telling exaggerated stories about adventures they wanted to have but never did. Inspired by the family's determination, they decide to join the journey for a short while, creating comedic moments as they try to match the family's enthusiasm despite their clumsiness. Through these interactions, the film highlights how inspiration spreads from one soul to another, especially when someone takes the first brave step. There is also a beautifully emotional moment when the family stops at a quiet place high in the Mountains. The sky is clear, the stars shine bright, and the calmness of the moment allows the father to open up about why he has always been afraid. He shares how he once lost his way during a storm when he was young and barely survived, an experience that stayed with him forever. The mother comforts him, reminding him that the past does not have to control their future. Their children, listening silently, begin to understand him in a new way. This scene becomes one of the film's most heartfelt points, showing how vulnerability can strengthen relationships. When they finally near their destination, the family faces one last major challenge, a powerful storm that separates them in the sky. The winds scatter them in different directions, and for a moment it seems as if the father's greatest fear has come true. The storm tests everything they have learned throughout the journey: teamwork, bravery, trust, and determination. Each family member must rely on instinct, memory, and courage to find their way back. In one emotional sequence, the father hears his children calling through the wind, and he pushes himself harder than he ever has, flying with a confidence he never believed possible. When the family reunites, exhausted but safe, the moment becomes a triumphant symbol of how far they have come from the small pond where the journey began. When they finally reach the warm, beautiful place they were searching for, the scenery becomes magical. The sky glows with colors, the sunlight warms their wings, and countless other birds fill the area with sounds of joy and excitement. The family looks around in awe, realizing that everything they dreamed of seeing truly exists. The children run around exploring, the mother watches them proudly, and the father stands silently, appreciating the beauty of what courage brought them. What once felt terrifying now feels rewarding. What once seemed impossible now feels like the beginning of something greater. The film ends with a sense of growth, unity, and hope. The family understands that home is not just a place, it is the bond they share, the way they support each other, and the courage they build together. They realize that life will always bring challenges, but facing them with love and trust is what turns an ordinary family into something extraordinary. Their journey transforms them, showing that leaving comfort behind can open the door to experiences more incredible than they ever imagined. The father, now confident, promises his children that every year they will fly farther, explore more, and never again let fear limit their dreams. The children laugh with excitement, imagining all the places they will see in the future. The final moments highlight how adventure changes everyone, not by removing fear, but by teaching them that bravery is a choice made again and again.